Hi, color therapist Susan McKenzie here. Well, we have arrived at the full moon in October of 2024. These are the bottles. If you haven't picked one, have a look at them right now. See which one resonates with you. And so here we are at the full moon, and this is a really great time for us to release everything that is holding us back. Right? What can you let go of mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, right? It's kind of like in the Northern Hemisphere, we're going into we are in full swing autumn. And, it's kind of like it's a really good time for us to actually mirror the trees and just as they release their leaves, we release all of these things that don't serve us, right? In the Southern Hemisphere, they're coming into the lovely season of summer. And, they're going through the space of blossoming and letting go of things that don't serve them in that space and blossoming into whatever shall be, right? It's about shedding all the old ways of operating, stories that you've told yourself, limiting beliefs that we've carried around for far too long that just don't serve us anymore, right? It's okay for us to shine. We have to remember that, right? And it's okay for us also to release these stories that we've been carrying around. Remember, every time you retell a story, you're basically bringing it forward into the future, right? So it's really keep that in mind, right? And what stories are you telling yourself about yourself, right? So remember to speak kindly and to be honest with yourself. Really, tap into personal responsibility because it is of the utmost importance, right? I think the deeper that we get into this year, the easier that this seems to be coming. This is, when I speak to people, this is what they're saying. It seems that we're starting to surrender with greater ease, and that's a good thing, I think, anyway, right? Keep your thoughts positive because that will attract more of the same into your life. Like attracts life. So think about that, right? I read this really great journal prompt the other day, and it said, name one thing that is holding you back. And again, it doesn't have to be, some people don't like journaling. So if you don't like journaling, go ahead and just sit down and meditate or ponder over a cup of tea or coffee, right? One thing that is holding you back. And if this is applicable, what's the one thing that is keeping you from living the life you want to be living? Some people already are, but if you're not, then that forces the question, or even if you are, it still forces the question, what is the life that I want to live? So maybe you discover that you aren't fully living the life that you want to live. But that is such positive energy for us to actually stay in. So I would really encourage you to go into that space, have some reflection on that, and go into this full moon, this powerful, wonderful full moon with ease and grace. Here are the two bottles. Let's have a look and see what they have to say. So the first bottle we're going to look at is this lovely right here. This is bottle number C5. It is the throat chakra, and it is royal blue over top of blue. Isn't that lovely? Yeah, so this is interesting. So I think most of you know that I pick these bottles all in January, go into meditation, then I come out and then I just pick the bottles as I'm guided for each month without thought for the month prior to or the cycle prior to. And so in the new moon in October, I picked the throat chakra bottle, but the number C13, which is the newer chakra bottles, and this is the older chakra bottle. So it's interesting that I've picked chakra bottles for the month of October. So clearly there's a very clear message there, and that is about being heard, right? It's about speaking your truth and speaking up. And, blue in itself is the color of expression and communication, right? And it's really also about sharing with others everything about you. And now I would imagine that puts introverts into a space of panic, but it's really not about, having to just go out and just talk about yourself and just spill everything about your inner, most deep thoughts. But it's more about sharing the essence of who we are with others, right? And this really helps us to open up to trust and really allows us to connect to others, right? There's a difference between, sharing your essence of who you are with others rather than having to go into the deep depths of who you are, right? And it's also a time for us to actually start listening to ourselves and with our entire being, right? Just to really listen what's there. It's, the blue relates also to masculine and the masculine side of things. And when people are choosing this bottle, it's sometimes it's asking people to explore stories around male energy and what might be holding you back. That could also be, a father figure or authority figures. Stories around that are really highlighted in this bottle. A really good example of that was my name was supposed to be Stephen. And so I had... I think and I knew that. I was told that that's what my name was supposed to be. So I was supposed to be a boy. I guess that's what they were expecting. So what I ended up doing is, I sat with this bottle and had a look at that. So with that story, what happened was I became a very independent, strong woman. On the other side of that, what happened was it put me in a place where I had an inability to ask for help, until my early, early to mid adult years, right? And so this bottle really helps with that and helps to clear my subconscious story of that and puts me in a place again, right? But for me, it was really about speaking and asking, right, for help, right? This bottle really helps you to honor yourself and to trust what you have to say is valued, because it really and truly is, right? It's almost like reclaiming your voice, right? The throat chakra sits right here. And for some, this is also about listening to and trusting yourself. Really now is the time to be at peace with the unfolding of life as it goes, right? And really feeling safe to be in the flow and surrender, right? Balance, tranquility, the breath, pausing. Those are really all great spaces for us to actually be in. And just think about that, tranquility and peace and surrender. It just sounds so lovely, right? And you deserve it. So there you go. That's the first bottle. So the second bottle we're going to look at is this lovely right here. This bottle is number 34, and it is called The Whale. And, just like a whale, I think it actually looks better in person than it does either on camera or in pictures, but that's, just me, right? So I guess it is actually really in line with the whale, right? And so, here is a fabulous message for anybody who's actually picking this bottle. The difficulties are coming to an end, right? Remember, life is not just about the big struggle. This is talking about a fresh start and the birth of something new, real shift in consciousness, right? And we're being asked to have complete faith that we are on purpose. How many of us walk around wondering if we actually are on purpose? Well, this bottle's saying you're on purpose. If you were having a question, you're on purpose, right? We have to remember that trust is the ultimate root and source of our influence, right? So do you trust yourself? You have to ask yourself that question, right? You've gotten to this point in life, and it is time for us to actually go into the space of trust. Here, we connect to the wisdom of the whales and the dolphins and the deep waters of the planet, right? Mystery, power, and potential actually really reside here. If you've been shutting yourself off from this wisdom, remember that it actually resides within you, and it's time for us to actually awaken to our truth. There's really deep unconditional love in this bottle, and the more we can connect to unconditional love, the greater in ease we will find in life. Unconditional love is really quite interesting because, its definition is something like it's absolute and it is not subject to any terms or conditions. So that would be, the love that we have for our partners, children, and parents, right? And that can actually waver. For me, a really good example of that is that some of you know that I helped my mother navigate the MAID process. And that actually really required complete and ultimate unconditional love, because as much as I love my mom, as much as I didn't want her to die, I had to put that aside and love her unconditionally and help her, move forward with her own wishes, right? We can say, we conditionally, sometimes we conditionally love our partners and our children, right? We go into these spaces where I love you, but there's no but to that. It is either we love you unconditionally, and, we can also not necessarily You know, it's not saying that you just have to, you know, allow people to walk all over you and treat you a particular way. We always have a choice to walk away from that. But unconditional love really is about that space of absolute without condition. And, you know, this bottle really also has a really strong healing connection, and the healing of wounds that we still hold within us, you know, that have been there for longer than they really need to be. You know, it really helps us to see our wounds as teachers, and that is what that wisdom of the whales and the dolphins teach us, right? They really are teachers, these wounds, and it's really the best place for us to go is to bless them, to look at the lessons that you learned with compassionate eyes. And, you know, they were just opportunities to learn, for us to actually really tap into that. You know, remember, there is no story that has more power than you. None. Not one story that we have in our lives that has more power than us. The journey has been tough, perhaps, but you're nearly there. That's what this bottle's telling you. And I'm sure that you will like the view on the other side once you get there. So those are the two bottles. I thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next new moon.